Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Podcast. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman, here in the Windy City, here in Gotham City. All right, I'm a couple of things I'm gonna touch on. Um, Shucks, it just ran. I can't believe this one just escaped me. But anywho, um, yes. Okay, so I know a lot of you all. I know a lot of you all, celebrate Halloween. I know that. I know some of you do, and then some of you don't. And some of and people have their, they have their reasons or their, their beliefs or whatever. Whatever. I just say, you know what, do you? Okay. But in the event that you do have children, now, this is crazy. And I remember as a child when we did go trick or treating, we didn't, at the time, we didn't have to uh, search the candy or peel it apart, or apple or something like that, to make sure that there was nothing in it that could hurt you. But the fact that we are in this day and age to where you have to open up the candy bars, you have to split open the apples or any type of fruit that your child may get, or for that matter, you have to screen any candy that they get, and it's crazy that we're in a time like that. But what I am going to say is that parents, uh, if you are allowing your children to go out trick or treating door to door, be mindful, be with them, be, and most importantly, be vigilant and be aware. Okay. Uh, you know, there are some very, very evil people out there plotting things like that. Very, very, and see, that's not a matter of saying with someone that's a sickness or that's just something to do. No, that's just evil when you sit there and you have the concept or you have the precept of actually putting a razor blade into an apple, or or stick pins into an orange, or this is even crazy. And it's the fact that we have to even have this conversation, that you're injecting candy bars with who knows what. So parents, be mindful, be vigilant, and please be safe out there tomorrow. Inspect your children's treats and items, and if you are going, try to go while during daylight hours. Okay, try to do that. I mean, when I was a child and we went trick or treating, that's just how it was. That's how we did, how we were doing it. We would go during the day, during daylight hours. But this fact that, I just want that, just this my little PSA for those people who do indulge in it or celebrate it. Okay, this is just, let's be clear on that. Now I want to get into this other mess, because that's exactly what it is. We are this thing here with the immigration. Okay, so right now the city has basically allocated trying to allocate some more land to um to house these migrants. Okay, here we go. And see, here's the thing, what's really pissing a lot of people off. You're trying to house these migrants in the on the west and south sides. Okay, you're trying to buy land. Where there was one instance where they tried to get a field house to put these migrants in, and the park district said no. Even the community came out and said no, we don't want these people here. Okay, and the fact that you're putting them in a field house, and we're not talking about couple, like 50, 60 people. We're talking upwards to 150 to 200, some numbers saying they're upwards to 300 people. Okay, that's men, women, and children from countries south of the border, and you're trying to house these individuals. And not only that, but you're giving them food, money, medical, and they're trying to develop housing. With all this money that the city has. Here once again. Here's my problem with that. When you have um, no economic growth on the south and west sides, but you're trying to put all this money into these migrants coming here. That's a problem with everybody. And here's the thing: a lot of people are having problems with that. A lot of them are having problems with this idea of doing this. Now, just today, that the city there's a parcel of land on the south side, and I'm familiar with that area because once I saw the location, I'm this this is a piece of land that has been sitting vacant for years, 4 years. Okay, this used to be at the time. This piece of land is in Morgan Park, which is the northwest corner of 115th and Halsted. Now I'm gonna go through this article right quick of what they're talking about doing. Okay. Um, with the cold weather moving in, the city of Chicago, the Chicago City Council is looking to move ahead with plans to acquire land for additional shelter for asylum seekers. The Committee on Real Estate and Housing took up the issue Monday. The city is taking a two-pronged approach to help migrants as the temperature plunges, like they did Sunday into Monday, short-term, long-term. Okay, at issue at Monday morning's meeting before the committee plans were turned. The committee's plans was to turn an empty South Side property into a shelter for migrants, despite concerns by the aldermen and members of the community. They're talking about bringing upwards to 200 migrants to this location, and I'm familiar with this location. This little piece of land used to be a shopping center. I'm not sure if you're from Roseland or more, if you're from the Roseland area, Pullman area, Morgan Park, Maple Park, you're familiar with the area. This used to be where the Jewels used to be, and another big box store, and there were other stores that lined this little parcel of land. And this now here's the thing: this piece of land has sat vacant for years. Now all of a sudden you say, okay, we want to develop it to put people in there, to house people. Okay, now the 21st Ward Alderman is not happy about that because this is money that can be put elsewhere in the community for developing the community. This is what we're talking about here. As they go on to say, we are definitely in communication with them as much as we can. We're always open to a meeting with the community, sharing plans, hearing from them, tweaking the plan if need be, as we are living a moment of crisis and urgency, and said the deputy mayor for immigrants, migrants, refugees rights, Beatrice Ponce de Leon. The property in question is the former here. This is what, like I said, I'm familiar with this. I grew up. Here's the thing. I grew up in Roseland, so I know this area. The property in question is the former grocery store site at 115th and Halsted, where the city wants to set up base camp tents, shelters for migrants. On Monday, the Real Estate and Housing Committee approved acquiring the property, which is being donated by Albertson. Alderman Ronnie Mosley, who represents the 21st Ward, remains frustrated about what he calls the lack of information by the mayor's office. We deserve to hear directly from the mayor's office about what this plan is for this site. How will residents be kept safe? How will our infrastructure be able to carry this burden, and what commitment to our community? I haven't been given a timeline about what this looks like, or what will be on the site, how long the site will be there. Long story short, they're wondering how long these migrants are going to be in this community. Here's the thing: this is an area that is predominantly, that is 85% Black. Now you're bringing other nationalities in there. And here's the thing about this area, concerning Maple Park too. A lot of this area, these are bungalow homes. These are family homes. These are homes that people have lived in for 40, 50 years. Do you really? Here's the thing. This is what we're talking. This is what the community is talking about, and they're going to get a lot of put. And make no mistake about it, they're going to get a lot of pushback on this. A lot. The community concerns centered on how this might affect the plans for affordable housing development on that very site, where construction was set to begin next year. That housing development with commercial, with commercial and retail space, and also just open space for entertainment, provides a catalyst for the economic engine we need to survive. We need to stabilize the community. Key word: stabilize the community. And as Alderman Mosley said, this puts an undue burden on the community that's already stretched to its limits. We're looking at doing both. The mayor's floor leader tried to ally concerns. People are able to see that these shelters are safe. People are able to see that they are accomplishing what they set out to accomplish, and it's a short-term measure. That migrant shelter is not going to be there long term. Long term is going to be where they're going to be there in the Morgan Commons, and the Morgan Commons is going to be a housing development. To deal with the cold and the short term, the city is now providing warming buses at 16 police stations. Here we go with this. Here we go with this shit. Where get this, they're providing warming buses at 16 police stations where more than 3,300 immigrants are currently staying. I'm not under. This is just so behooving. You scratch your head. You scratch your head. As well as landing site near Union Station, where buses bringing migrants to Chicago. Bringing the migrants to Chicago. We're doing our best as possible to have them out, and we have them out there for a few hours and as we need it. It's definitely a short-term emergency measure. See, this is the very thing of what we're talking about. One, first and foremost, open borders. That's the other thing we've been talking about for years. The full city council is expected to approve the Morgan Park land acquisition on Monday. What is not clear at this point is when construction on the tent base could begin. The mayor's office said Monday morning that the property would first need to be reviewed, and that could take approximately a week. After, it could take approximately 2 weeks to get the base camp set up. The mayor's office also made an appeal to the philanthropic community for donations to help cover some of the costs for housing and caring for the migrants. Here it is. Poncion said that there was no specific goal, but the city is looking for millions of dollars in help. I'm highly disappointed by the city's intention to move forward with plans to erect a temporary asylum-seeking shelter on 115th and Halsted, despite community concerns. Last month, after our community expressed multiple concerns about this shelter, I co-sponsored ordinance that addressed these concerns and advocated for the aldermen to receive a 30-day notice of intention to house migrants in their communities. Unfortunately, those have not yet passed. The 21st Ward will not tolerate the prioritization of a crisis over the needs of voices. Here's what I'm demanding from the administration. We need a full commitment to break ground on the Morgan Park Commons housing development in 2024 at the same site of the proposed shelter. I am demanding support to complete to complete the Beverly Ridge housing development and the capital investments uh, required at the Julian High School and investments for beautification for our ward. This goes back to what I just said. He's taking money. The city of Chicago or the mayor is taking money and placing it elsewhere. He's not. Let me put it bluntly. He's not serving he's not serving his constituents. He's not serving the very people who put him in office. He is not serving the city. He is self-serving. This is what's happening. But make no mistake, some of you all put him in there, and you're getting exactly what you're getting. You're getting exactly what you deserve. See, we have to see one of the biggest things. We have to stop putting people in office or in power because we happen to share the same skin color, the same pigmentation. That doesn't make them qualified, and this is obviously that. This is the individual who prioritizes the wrong things, and he's definitely not prioritizing the citizens of the people of the city of Chicago, the very people that he has been elected to govern. As the 21st Ward Alderman still states, he also goes on to say, along with these commitments to our community, it is still imperative that the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois continue to press the federal government for the necessary emergency resources to assist in this crisis. It's painful to know that there are millions of federal dollars and resources available, but not given, forcing our city to attempt to resolve a nationwide issue with strained resources. There are still many questions about safety, timelines, and the care of our own residents have yet to be answered. The 21st Ward deserves an answer to these questions, and I will continue to fight for a true commitment and investment in our community from this administration. You know, it's an absolute shame that this but this is just typical. This is just typical politics. This is typical. This is very typical of how this runs. This is typical. And when we have an administration, and this is one of the reasons why when we talk about, I'm going to reach back in the archives. This is one of the reasons why when we had that when the riots happened July 6th, this is the very reason why that happened. Because under the Constitution, you have a right. Under the Constitution, you have a right, okay, to rebel. They call it insurrection. No, it's rebellion. Or they call it civil unrest. No, you have a right to disagree with the seated government, and also you do have a right to remove them by election or by force. You can do that. That is legal to do this. It is legal. It is legal. It is in the Constitution. This is where some of you have to read it, break it down on what your rights are as a citizen. As a citizen. Here's another little tidbit for you homeowners, okay? You know, the property taxes are going up. Again, property taxes are going up. Cook County property taxes rising more than $909 million. They're going up. But these are some of the same people that you all keep putting in office. These Democrats. These are some of the same people who are behind these migrants. These Democrats. These are some of the same people who are robbing your community of the resources, economic development, education, trade schools that you're not getting. Not getting. These are the things that we constantly have these conversations about, and we sometimes have to keep these conversations, keep having these conversations, so we can kind of keep it in the front of our minds and keep the dialogue going. Because at some point, you're either going to be part of the solution or you're going to be part of the problem. One of the two. You have to decide which. You have to decide which. Okay. There is no two way. There's really no two ways about it. There really isn't. None whatsoever. Zip, zero, nada. Point blank, period. There isn't. So when we continue to have these conversations, and sometimes we have to pressure these officials by doing what needs to be done. If we have to protest, well, I won't say protest. If we have to strike, if we have to get these protesters have to protest. If we have, the idea of a protest is to have your voice heard. The idea of a strike is to be heard. That is the idea. That is the idea. We have to, and once we understand the basics of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to get across to whoever's in power, and then we put the squeeze on them, you will notice that you'll have their undivided attention. You take the auto workers who went on strike for 2.5 months, 2.5, almost 3 months. And the fact that they were shutting that they had a rolling strike force, meaning that when the big three, when all three car manufacturers went on strike in Detroit, that was Stellantis, Ford, and GM. They all went on strike, and then those strikes started filtering down to other throughout the state and to other states, to where where other plants were, their workers were going on strike, and it continued and continued and continued. Now, some people say, "Well, no, it really didn't hurt the car. It hurt the car industry." Yes, it did. It hurt them significantly. And not only that, but it hurt them so bad. And the fact that the strike happened in the last quarter of the year, so they're gonna have significant losses. That's the whole point of forcing someone's hand, sticking together, and coming together, and for a common goal to get to achieve what you want. These people put a chokehold on all three of these car companies, and I mean a chokehold on them. They got what they wanted and then some. It's no different. It's no different when we're talking about our communities. It's no different when we're talking about our political officials. We just have to take a stand. And some of you want to. It's just not enough of us to do it, because some of you are too scared. Some of you don't know what to do, and some of you just don't want to. As they say, you don't want to rock the boat. Well, sometimes you have to rock the boat to get people's attention. Sometimes you have to do that because it's necessary. It is needed and necessary to do these things. It is. So, with that being said, I want to go into a little bit about the law. Okay. When we're discussing these things, when we're discussing the law, when we look at the, so to speak, the chaos that's going on, we're kind of, sometimes we're kind of puzzled on what and why. But we have to understand that the law is only as good as those that are it's only as good as it's written, and those who are applying it. That's basically. So just this weekend alone, okay, and just this weekend alone, so we they had, I believe it was somewhat up to 48 shootings. Okay, but I'm gonna backtrack for a moment. I want to go into one particular shooting last week where we had this guy. This is just absolute, and this goes back to the part to where there's not a whole lot we can do about this. Where you had the guy walk into a bowling alley and open fire and wind up killing 18 people, and then on top of that, not only did he do that, but then when the manhunt ensued, what does this guy do? He, as typical as mass shooters tend to do, he wind up killing himself. Huh? He what? No, I said alleged. Yeah. I said he allegedly killed 18 people and wounded 12 more. Although law enforcement confirmed that. That's how it goes. They came the proof was that they came across this individual's body. He had a self-inflicted gun wound. I didn't say I believed it. I just said, I'm just reporting it.
Okay, still, I still said that's allegedly. But you know what? When this incident first happened, I said when they find this guy, they're going to report that he killed himself, self-inflicted gun wound. They're going to report that.
Yeah, I mean that was.
But you know, chances of that, nil or none. There's a pretty good chance they off that dude and gonna say he killed himself. And you know what? And that's exactly what I believe happened. I believe because I predicted that before they even found the guy, they gonna say it was self-inflicted wound and he killed himself. Get for real. Them cops killed that dude.
Well, allegedly.
There you go.
See, we have to because when we're talking about something, especially, yeah. So when we that's the thing about that's the nuance of law, that when you are referencing something, and that's why when they said in the report that this individual, even though they have his face, they have this, they have that, they have to, under the pretext, you have to say alleged because he's accused of this, allegedly, or he's accused of doing this, and that's why they always say it is alleged. He's alleged that he's killed 18 and wounded 12 others. Now we get and himself. Now we go into this part. We go into this part to where this individual, and it's not surprising. Now, the backstory to this guy, is that he was angry with his ex-wife because she was divorced. He found out that she was divorcing him and was getting ready to serve him papers, and he lost it and flipped his lid. Now, how much of that is true, we will never know because he's not around. He's no longer here to tell us. No longer here to tell us that. But these are one of the things that does happen. This guy, here's the thing. This guy, no history of mental illness, purchased these firearms legally. Okay. But the other thing is that he was on someone's radar for other alleged acts of violence or some alleged acts of violence or thereof. He was on somebody's radar. That's how that goes. But it's 6 1 and half a dozen the other. Okay, that's really what it boils down to. We can't really say what was in his mind or what was on his mind or at the time or anything at that time. We can't say because we're not him. We weren't there. We were not there. So once you when we look at these,
guys, can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
When Trump was being indicted, okay.
Yeah.
He said that there was going to be some, violence, and you don't want. He said there's going to be some violence.
Well, you're right. He did.
He predicted that.
He did say that.
But whenever something actually happens, right, he's nowhere to be found, or nobody wants to discuss that. No one. Whenever something actually happens, everything else is blame, but the man who said if you indict me, it's gonna be some problems.
Mm. Now, would we say
Also,
that?
also, do you remember just recently, last week, a guy attempted to take down a plane? Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was some dude.
No
Yeah,
one's
but
really
they
talking about that.
no. You know what? Here's the thing about that too, people. This was fun. This was funny, but not funny. This was funny if you happen to be on the ground. It wasn't funny if you happen to be in the plane when this guy did this. Supposedly, now get this. Check this out. Supposedly, this off-duty pilot had apparently eaten some mushrooms, had eaten some type of mushrooms that that made him have quote unquote act into the passengers were saying that he was acting relatively odd or strange. He had eaten some mushrooms before he boarded the plane. You know what? That's kind of that's kind of thin. That's kind of thin. And I have to, and I have to go with what my man Earl said. There's certain things that just don't make sense. They just don't. Okay, this guy ate some mushrooms, decided to take down the plane. At some point or another, you have to have some type of consciousness to say, this is what I'm going to do. Now, if this guy had ate the mushrooms and ran through and was running through the cabin of the plane, asshole naked and just yelling obscenities, then that would be a little bit more believable. Okay, the mushrooms did this, and with no telling what else he was on. But this guy tried to take down a plane, an off-duty pilot at that, to take down a plane. See, there's some things that people do that they are fully aware and conscious of. Nothing happened there. I don't believe in coincidence or happenstance. I don't believe in that because it doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. At least that's what I believe. So with this individual, and for those who weren't, the suspect named Robert Card was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to law enforcement. Okay. Now, who's to say? And we have to. And sometimes we have to. I would say, play the devil's advocate, because you're right. There's sometimes that maybe these things do happen. Sometimes and let's be clear, law enforcement is not. They're not police officers. Some of them, they're not. Some of them believe that they are above the law. They're not above the law. But sometimes we will admit that sometimes they take the law into their own hands and do the things do the things what they feel was necessary. This is what this is what we're looking at. So a brief rundown on those 18 victims. Now here's the thing. Here's the other thing too. I want to hear something about funerals and wakes or whatever the case may be for these 18 people. I don't want to hear this. What's really would be perplexing if we go a whole month and we don't hear anything. Well, this is one of the victims that was part of the shooting, and this is this victim here. So one of the victims, her name was Teresa Eslin, 53, Bill Brackett, 48. Now here's the thing: some of the victims were deaf. I believe that there were 7 of them that were deaf. So they had no clue or idea, let alone what was going on, because they couldn't hear anything. And there's no pun intended, but that's the truth. Peyton Brewer Ross, 40. Tom Comrade, 34. Michael Delasares, the second, 51. Max Hathaway, 35. Brian McFarland, 41. Keith McNair, 64. Ronald Morin, 55. Joshua Seal, 36. Arthur Strout, 42. Bob Violette, 76. Lucille Violette, 73. And this was a husband and wife, and they ran, and these were the two. They ran the establishment. Stephen Von Zellen, 44. Jason Walker, 51. Joseph Walker, 56. Aaron Young, 14, and William Young, 43. Now, Aaron Young was the 14-year-old son of William Young, who also died in the shooting. But once this individual did this, I mean, they went hunting for him and they couldn't find him. And when they did find him, he was already dead, according to police. But when we talk about these mass shootings, okay, and what they classify anything as any shooting where there are 5 victims or more is considered a mass shooting. And when we have this, and then when you get this, these are not just random people who are in possession of firearms, who some criminal who wasn't supposed to have a gun, or someone who's had a mental breakdown and was hospitalized and somehow or another got hold of a firearm. These are people who had purchased these firearms, who had legally purchased these firearms, who had no history of violence, history of mental illness, any of that. Some of these are conscious decisions to wreak havoc and cause mayhem. These are conscious decisions to do these things. Is this a way to try to scare the government into creating a ban on firearms, a ban on weapons, try to backdoor the Second Amendment? And it's not gonna. I don't think so. Are they working on trying to ban assault rifles? We keep saying that's a start, but there's no real teeth being put into that. Okay. Now, honestly, my opinion, like I said, it's only my opinion. I don't think that is necessary. I don't believe that it's necessary for a civilian to be in possession of an assault rifle. The thing is that my thing is that an assault rifle, and this guy had what appeared to be an AR-4 assault rifle with extended clips, extended magazines. Not only that, but the magazine, he had 2 magazines together. They were taped together so he could easily go to reload relatively quickly. I don't see the purpose. I mean, because I don't see the purpose for that, especially even for home security. I mean, a handgun, yeah. A shotgun, yeah. An assault rifle, I'm not seeing that. I don't see that as home defense. I mean, so Earl, what do you think on that? As far as a weapon for home protection for you, what would if you had to? And I'm asking Earl this question, but I'm asking everybody, anyone that's listening. And also the phone lines are open, so give me a call here to voice your opinion on this. 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. If you had to have a weapon for home defense, what would be conducive for you? A handgun, shotgun, or other? Just your
handgun.
opinion.
Well, right now I have a handgun. I keep under my pillow. A Glock.
Okay.
Why would I have a rifle up under my pillow? That would be
no, I'm not right.
That would be very uncomfortable.
No, but let's just say, okay, we have this. We got this going. Okay, so you have a handgun. Okay, and most people do have a handgun. It's either
Glock 9mm under my pillow.
Okay, so would you? Okay, now me personally, I would have a handgun and a shotgun because
what's the purpose of the shotgun?
Shotgun because
if I'm usually for hunting.
Well, no, not it depends, and that depends on your route. Now, if I have a shotgun,
long range shooting.
Well, if I had a shotgun, okay, if I'm using a shotgun, because one, if I want to be able to keep going. I don't want to have to be looking for anything because I can drop my handgun and then go to my rifle and go to my shotgun and I'm coming across the kitchen shooting. Some people have just a simple rifle. Some people have that too. but I don't see the purpose of an assault rifle, military style assault rifle in for a civilian or for homeowners. I don't see the purpose. I just don't.
I don't either. However, if you use if any type of weapon, in my opinion, I don't care what kind of weapon it is. If you're using it for protection, in my opinion, you're good. But when you're using it for evil,
Oh, good, correct, right. If I'm decided to walk out,
that's a whole different ball
right.
game.
If I'm decided I'm gonna walk
You know
out
what I'm
my
saying?
house and I'm gonna shoot up the neighborhood, that's a totally
That's
different
different. If I
aspect.
got 5 guys who break in my house, at the same time, the assault rifle might come in
Right.
handy.
Right, oh, that's true too, because that's very true. Very, very true.
So
You know,
in my opinion, I mean, like I said, if you're using it for protection, I'm good with it.
absolutely. And the thing is that when people, as they say, guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people. Now, if you have, if you
In my opinion, I think personally, in my personal opinion, I think they make it too hard for law-abiding citizens to even get guns. In my opinion,
no, you know what?
I think
That's
you should be able to go in and show your driver's license, and they go through the same process. They go and they write you a ticket, check in the computer, make sure you don't have any warrants, make sure you're not wanted by the police. They should have. I think gun stores should have the same computer that the police have in the police cars. And once you check that, if you're good, you should be able to purchase a gun. Because they make it harder and harder and harder for law-abiding citizens.
That's true,
right? Because criminals will always have guns. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and see, they should
make it easier for the law-abiding citizens.
They're creating, and see the problem. And Earl,
I don't like
point.
I got to have a concealed and carry card and all this sort of crap. I don't know. That's
right.
crazy to me.
Well, I mean,
I have one, but I think that's just some BS.
Well, and for those who and for those who live in states where you have open carry, because at that point you don't need you don't need anything. It's an open carry. Like Texas is an open carry. Okay,
I like that.
They're open carry. You can ride around in if you got a truck, you can ride around with your shotgun or rifle in plain view of your truck. I believe Arkansas has the same thing. Georgia has Georgia, I believe, is concealed carry, but there are a couple other states that are open carry. Now, here's the thing. Now, the beauty part about open carry, these are people who are less likely to get robbed, because if I see a gun on your hip, if I'm a criminal, if I'm Joe Criminal, I'm less likely to accost you, because I know you that gun's not there for show. And if you are hellified, if you are a quick draw, if you know how to draw and drop them, I'm less likely to approach you. But it's also too, that door swings both ways. The same thing for concealed carry, because if I'm Joe Criminal, I have no idea. If I walk up to you and demand your property, you could be reaching, say, okay, I'm gonna reach for my wallet, and you could very well be reaching for your firearm and come around and drop me, which you'll be well within your rights. There was a incident, and about 2 weeks ago, where a woman, and it's said that she was a concealed carry, that her and a man got into what started as a altercation, and then it escalated, and then the man apparently pulled out. Wait, get this! True story. The man pulled out a knife on the woman, or tried to attack the woman. She drew her weapon from her purse and hit him 4 times, killed him. That's the term where you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Okay. Now, I haven't heard any more if this woman has been charged, but the fact that she was defending herself from it, and not only that, but she fired her weapon until the threat was neutralized. These are the things that sometimes that we wind up that we run into. This man pulled a knife on this woman, and she drew her firearm and you know and sent him straight to wherever he needed to go, wherever that may be. But as Earl, but as we said a few minutes ago, you know, I have no problem with a firearm as long as it's used in the right and correct way. If you have a firearm in your home and you have that for self-defense, okay, that's fine. If you have a shotgun for self-defense, okay, I have no problem with that. If you have you have a simple rifle, say maybe a 30-03, or they say a 30-06, you have that in your home. No, but I'm just you know if you have if you have a different idea, or help me bridge the gap on what is the need of a assault rifle for home protection. I mean, I kind of, and then Earl presented because he said if you got 5 intruders, you can spray across and you getting everybody. Okay, yeah, that's fairly, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. But if you are taking your firearm and doing what this individual allegedly did because he was upset about an impending divorce, and you went to wherever and it doesn't clearly state that why he went to this bowling alley. We can only surmise that he went there thinking that his wife and son were there and he planned on killing them, or his soul, or his thought. But we can only speculate. What we do know is that there are 18 people dead. We do know that stuff. We do know that is a fact. That is not something made up or a figment of our imagination. Point blank. Period. Point blank. When now what's subject to happen, then you're going to get Congress or you get certain states to say, well, we need to do something about these mass shootings. You are not going to do anything about that. You're not going to stop these mass shootings. There's no way possible to do that because you cannot predict the mindset of any individual on the face of this earth. Somebody could, heaven forbid, and I'm just spitballing here. Some asshole could get up tomorrow morning and decide that I'm wake up and hating the world and decide that I'm going to go down here and I'm going to shoot up a grocery store, or I'm going to shoot up a bus station. Remember, these are conscious decisions. You made the decision to do this. How? Because you got up, you grabbed your rifle, you loaded it, and you walked out your front door and got in your car. It's a conscious decision when you get in your car and you turn the ignition. You put it in gear and you go to said no. Okay, no. Oh my goodness! People say, "Oh my goodness, this guy suffered a bout of temporary insanity." No, he didn't. He made a conscious decision to do what he did. But what's really, and what really is mind-boggling is that when these individuals do this, some of them wind up killing themselves. If that's what your plan was, you should have just did that and left everybody else alone. Because these are, what was your point? What was your point and why? Most important, and we will never get the why. We will never get that. Right now, there are 18 families whose lives are shattered forever. Shattered. When we talk about gun reform and making it, and what happens is that when these individuals who are talking about gun reform, yes, they are making it difficult for law-abiding citizens, people who want to own a firearm, people who do own firearms, and those that and the sad the other part about it is that the hoops that you're making these people jump through, this is not designed. This is not for them. Well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do deeper background checks. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. you can do a comprehensive background check on someone who's never had a run-in with the law in their life, and you're not going to find anything. This could be the very same person who goes in, purchases a firearm legally, and goes and does the unthinkable. So help me. So tell me, how are you going to stop that? Exactly. There's no real way to harness that. There's no real way. We say we get rid of all firearms. No, I don't agree with that. I don't. Because why? Because those people who are in possession, who are not supposed to be in. Wait, hold your thought. Those people who are not supposed to be in possession of firearms are going to be in possession of firearms, whether you put comprehensive laws on the books or not. Go ahead.
My question is, when you say get rid of all firearms, okay, this is my question. How is that even possible?
No. I said if you were to try to do that,
right? But I'm saying,
I'm saying,
hypothetically speaking, how would that even be even possible?
It's practically impossible.
Now let me just say this right here. Now, I would be for it if it was possible, but it's just not possible.
Right.
And when I say all, I mean all. I ain't talking about just from I'm talking about all. I ain't talking about just from citizens. I'm talking about from law enforcement, from all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can get rid of all firearms, I would be down with that. And you know what? Let's say, for instance, they can put up a magnet over the earth. And they could absorb all the guns on the planet. Every last single one would be gone, non-existent. I would be down for that. But that's not going to happen.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I mean, folks gonna still have guns, right, no matter what you do.
They're still gonna have them. And right now, as we're talking.
If I got a call right now, say, "Oh, you need to turn your gun in," I ain't going.
No. And I'm glad since we're talking about that, there are people whose FOIA cards have been revoked or suspended and have not turned in their turned in their guns. People, we have to also realize this. America is a gun culture. America is a gun culture country. Gun culture. Something wrong with owning a firearm, owning a gun. It's when you use it for other purposes that it's designed for. Other purposes, meaning that you're going out here and you're doing the unthinkable. Now, mind you, someone's breaking into my house. I'm going to blow you into the middle of next week of the soon to come millennium. Absolutely. And most of us would do it without hesitation or second thought. And not only that, but when it does happen, probably go home, make a steak, some potatoes, and have a cold beer, and not even think no more about it. That's, this is the, and I know we're just spitballing here and talking about the what ifs and maybes and possibles, but some of these what ifs, maybes, and possibles are actually some of our realities. Some of them are, because we look at the old saying, the old saying, what they used to say in the West, in the 1800s when the West was wild, they said you'd rather have a gun, have a gun and not need it than need it and not have it. That holds true today. Some of you may say, well, no, I wouldn't have a. Be put in a position where you have to defend yourself or others. Trust me, that thought does run across your mind. So with that being said, people, I see the lights flashing in the distance and the helicopter's about to land. So that means that's all the time that we have here on tonight's show, Black Conservative Podcast. Hope you all enjoyed this, got something out of that. And you know what, just take them and just use a little bit. If you tomorrow night, use common sense, watch over your kids and go out during the daylight hours. And also, if you own a firearm, be smart about it. Be smart about it. put a childproof lock or keep it in a safe, keep it out of the way of those individuals. And that being said, not my monkey, not my circus.
Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here.